Earth AC was formed by divine guidance to help lift up humanity and raise the vibration of all. New Earth is a community that started as a Facebook group and has grown to become an online interactive platform for those seeking to uplift, empower, and co-create with one another. On top of uplifting and inspiring posts, we began to connect with our members on a more deeper level. We now regularly host what we call Unity Circles and live stream them on our YouTube channel. Each circle is hosted by a member who wishes to share their knowledge and gifts out to the world in hopes that they can make a difference in the lives of others. You can find these circles inside the New Earth AC Divine Ray store and on our YouTube channel. Please take whatever resonates and let the rest fall away. AC is always on the lookout for new Unity Circle hosts. If you have special gifts and know that what you have could uplift, empower, and inspire others, if you want to make a difference in the world, why not host an online Unity Circle with us? We always live stream the circles onto the New Earth YouTube channel and promote our hosts to the world. If you think you have something to give, let Bonnie Bird, David Starr, and Robin Nicole know personally, or email us at newearthac1111@gmail.com, and we will place you onto the calendar and bring you onto a community chat to let everyone get to know you before your circle.
Hello, everybody. We're here with another Unity Circle. It's very small today. It's just myself and Meher because everybody else decided that they're going to be on vacation this week. All of the other New Earth AC hosts have gone and they're all doing something this week. Well, David's working and Bonnie's on vacation and Jesse is also doing other things. So it's just me here, the singleton of the hosts today. And we have a lovely guest going on today. She's going to be doing a talk for us. And I would like to introduce her properly. So her name is Meher, and she is a psychic intuitive channel and works with us Astro-numerology, Akashic Records, Vedic, I don't know how to say that, Vedic or Vedic Healing, Vedic Healing, Inner Child Healing, DNA activation, and mentors starseeds and sensitive ones on the path of ascension. Meher comes from a long lineage of What is it? Zoroastrian Priests, is a reverend of the Order of Melchizedek, and specializes in helping people with their life purpose, genetic blueprint, and using astrology, numerology, channeling, in and clearing of old timeline imprints in the Akashic Records, helping bring you on your highest mission timeline. She is also initiated as a master in the Vedic traditions. She will help point out your spiritual gifts and help release the blinds of your subconscious, guiding you to walk this lifetime in the full light of your true self. And today she's going to be kind of giving us a little bit of a crash course on the Vedas, Shiva, and Shakti in particular. And I know nothing about this topic, so I'm really kind of excited to kind of learn more about it. And it's very different and very interesting. And that's one thing that we do here on the New Earth is we bring in people that specialize in all different kinds of things that raise the vibration of all and help give spiritual tools and things out to people. And so it's very interesting that you came on today and you're going to be speaking about a topic that is not really widely known in the community. So we're really excited to have you here and to learn from you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction.
You're very welcome. And I just wanted to say before, so the people that are watching us, if you're watching us live, if you have any questions, please put them into the comments, and I will make sure I ask Meher about that. But give her a chance to kind of like talk. I'll leave the questions on the side. If I don't get to them right away, we will go into like a Q&A towards the end, but we're going to just let her talk away. So if you have a question while she's talking, just text it in to if you're watching it on the YouTube channel would probably be best. And I'm going to go out and share it out to other different places at the moment while you start talking. But I just want you to know I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're always wonderful, Robin. Such a great host. All right. Well, welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us or tuning in later on. And we're going to be talking about a whole host of different things that I was asking my guides about what I should talk about this time. So we're still in the very, very potent energy of the Lionsgate portal right now. And we all experienced the peak of it on Sunday, 8/8. And it was also coinciding with the Leo new moon, of course. And I will talk a little bit about the astrology of it because I did primarily grow up learning Vedic astrology. Vedic and Western astrology are completely different systems. The Vedic astrological system considers fixed stars. I use both systems and evolutionary astrology, which is a third system, and I combine them to because my whole mission is to bring starseeds into understanding the nitty-gritty of their main mission, and then also clear anything that's in the way of that mission, because what we're building here is an army of light workers, and we need as many of you on board as we can get at this point, right? The new moon in Leo does not always coincide with the Lionsgate portal. So this time around, it was on the exact date of the Lionsgate portal. The Lionsgate portal is when Sirius, what we call the great central sun in our spiritual terminology, or the star that affects us the most, or is the brightest in the sky at this point in time, is aligned directly with the earth. And in that short period of time, we have the influence of the Lionsgate portal. But on 8/8 is when the portal is at its peak, where Sirius is directly aligned to the center. So as such, Mother Gaia's center is directly aligned to the sun, and then directly aligned to the great central sun. A lot of the things we bring up in a lot of meditations, right? So that's when the energies are the most potent. And of course, they are very Syrian in nature. A lot of Syrian starseeds will be seeing, getting a lot of downloads, a lot of DNA upgrades. If you've been feeling very sleepy, you're probably just upgrading and realigning your bodies and tired. So drink lots of water, eat high vibrational foods, keep your frequencies high, because the extent to which you can absorb the light frequencies that they're sending us depends on the extent to which where your frequency is. So that's very important. Now, however, this new moon in Leo basically is because it was aligned to the Lionsgate portal, it started this new 4-year cycle. So new moons are about new beginnings anyway. A new moon in Leo, the Leo energy is all about creation. And this is the reason I chose to speak about the story of creation in the Vedas. And you will be surprised to see as we go on and talk more about it as to how much the ancient theories of the Rig Vedas coincide with modern day science, and how it all comes together. So we'll talk about that. But yes, the new moon in Leo is about bringing in your creations to the world. But at the same time, this particular new moon, because it has a Saturn-Uranus alignment, it brings up there's a lot of Uranian energy. So there's a lot of shifting and changing and sudden shifting and sudden downloads and sudden realizations. and the breaking down of patterns, because Saturn always creates a pattern, and Uranus comes and creates a breakdown in that pattern in order to create a breakthrough. So it is a necessary breakdown, and with that energy, what we're really doing is releasing any blocks to our creation and to our creativity. And what this is doing is, it's essentially, this new moon is bringing a sort of resurrection, where when something is destroyed, it is reborn and recreated in a new form, because the cosmos is ever changing and destruction leads to new creation. So there is that energy, a very potent energy of completely and fully letting go of what no longer serves you. Whatever little leftover is there. I mean, we did a lot of it during the eclipses that went through the last couple of months, and we did a lot of it during when we entered the Aquarian age, during the equinox and so on and so forth. But this is now, we are embracing the new fully and completely. And what is important at this point in time, as we move into that which is new, and it's a great time for manifestation with all that new Leo energy coming in, with the help of our Syrian brothers and the portal energies as well. It's an excellent time for writing down and thinking about your manifestation, your new life. And you're going through a paradigm shift where, with any kind of manifestation, you first attune to the frequency of what you want to become, and then you become it. So you are already at the stage now where you are becoming it and fully integrating that this is who I am, which is completely different from who I used to be a while back, right? So just a little while back, and that's the integration, and now the expansion with it. So now that I am this, what do I do with it, and what do I create with it? So that's what this Leo new moon is bringing, that finality to it, and that anchoring. And the anchoring needs to anchor within your center, because when we are in our center, it is very important to be in that as we absorb the new energies. When we operate from our center is when we are completely integrating what needs to be integrated. So now I'm going to talking about being in our center, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about bringing in the energies of the divine masculine and feminine into balance in order to be centered. Again, the reason why we're bringing this up today is because we're talking about creation, and all creation happens when those two energies are integrated and balanced. And that is what Shiva and Shakti really mean. So a little more, right, about how to handle and deal with the moon. Make sure whatever you're committing to at this point in time, you're really into it. If you're not, then do not commit to it, because this is where you're creating your new manifestation. Because our words are like decrees. What we speak, what we commit to, we are creating in our reality. We are telling the universe that we are agreeing to it. This is not a time to hide your feelings. This is the time. The Leo energy is very innocent and childlike, because it is creation. So it is that child in you which has this excitement that's unmasked. You are, this is not all about self-control and maturity. This is about letting go and speaking from your heart and being in your heart space. Leo is ruled by the heart. So it talks about really living with your heart open and speaking what's in your heart, in your mind and in your heart. And what's interesting is what a lot of people do not realize is that our heart actually has a lot more nerves and muscles than even the brain. And as such, it is a much more intelligent system. And the other interesting piece to it is when we're living from our heart itself acts as a protective shield. So when we're scared of showing our vulnerability because we feel like we need to, a lot of empaths are, because growing up we've always needed to shield ourselves, right? But just understanding that when we fully live from our heart, and then there is nothing to hide, that's when we shed the shield. So this time it's not about strengthening the external shield. This time it's about really allowing the shield to melt away and understanding that within our own sovereignty lies our own shield that's already inbuilt inside that heart space. And as that, when our heart space strengthens, when our heart muscle strengthens, it automatically creates that shield, the inbuilt one, not the external one, not the one of defense, none of that, but the inbuilt one, which allows us to shine our light in a way where Leo is the energy of Leo is ruled by the sun. So when you become and embody the sun through the energy sent by the great central sun, when you embody the sun inside of you and you shine that light, everybody else gets a piece of that light from your overflowing cup. And that is your inbuilt shield, where you're not doing it through depletion, but you're doing it through that expansion. So in that sense, the Leo energy actually is okay with self-promotion. The Leo energy is okay. Leo is the performer. It is okay to express what you really came here, the gifts that you came here to provide, to understand the gifts, to create using those gifts, and then to shine that light. And it is okay to do it. It gives us permission to do it. Unlike the energy, other energies, which may talk about discernment and all of that, but Leo is about go forth and shine. And there's another very important thing at this point in time, is really sticking up for your beliefs. So there's no more making excuses, no more of that old fear patterns that stop you from taking your action. It's just like it doesn't have room. It's time to let go of that completely and fully. And why this is necessary is as we move further and further into the period of the shift, and things around us are changing constantly. It's even more important that we are sure of who we are and in our center, so that we can navigate that shift through that space of being in our center, of being our authentic selves, of being in our leadership. Another wonderful thing about Leo is it's actually a very fun energy. It's not all serious and not all about doing something or creating something. It's really the energy of really vocalizing your appreciation for someone and being generous with your friends and your family and your loved ones, and Leo likes to have fun, and even though pride can be a shadow aspect of Leo's expression, and we do need to talk about the shadow aspect because we cannot always ignore it, but a healthy sense of balance, once it's struck, then it's okay. If you tend to veer on the other end of it, where you're, where you need to open up and shine your light, then it's important to strike that balance without overdoing it. And but yeah, it's reveling into the rhythm, and yeah. So all right. So now let's talk about the theory of creation, right? And we're going to talk about that, and through that, I'm going to introduce the Vedic theory. So let me tell you a little bit about the background of what the Vedic, where the Vedas come from. So the Vedas are the ancient set of books. There are multiple different Vedas: the Rig Veda, the Dharma Veda, the Atharva Veda, and so on and so forth. Ancient books written thousands of years ago in ancient India. I grew up in India as such. These were the mystery schools of India. So there was only a certain group of people that was part of this mystery school. So the Brahmins and the Brahmins' children, which are nothing but the priests and priestesses and their children, would enroll into the school of the Veda, and they would be given the knowledge of the mystery schools. which was then not shared and kept separate from the Kshatriyas, who were the warriors and the kings and the queens. So you would have a Brahmin as an advisor in the court of the king, but the king would not be allowed into the mystery school. And of course, for various reasons, right? Because, the king could act out of his ego, and when you have all this ancient knowledge, it's a lot of power, and the Brahmins' duty was to ensure that the power was not misused, and bits and pieces of it were given as and when they were necessary for the whatever was needed for the ruling of the kingdom justly. But at the same time, it wasn't completely revealed to the warrior clan, and that was the reason. So it is not so much to create division, but it was created for the purposes of preservation. We're now in this new age when a lot of light workers are coming together, because all of the knowledge that's out there needs to come together too, so that we can all bring in the shift. So it is time that some of this basic knowledge come out, right? In of course, through the right channels, and reach whoever needs to learn about it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the theory of creation as per the Vedas, and that is the story of Shiva and Shakti, who are deities in the Vedic system, and essentially they are representations of the energies of the divine masculine and the divine feminine in our consciousness. So,
Can I ask you a question before we go
of
further?
course, yes.
Okay, I'm just curious because I'm just trying to get all this in my head. I've been writing down what you're saying and stuff, right? I just wanted to stop before you went farther. And you were talking about the mystery schools, and this is what the teachings are. Do you think that, do you have any idea if it's similar to the Hermetic teachings, or if it has any, if it's any, like, if it's a go kind of with that?
So this is a great question. It's very interesting when you see that a lot of the cultures around the world that had no way of communicating with each other at that point in time said different things through different stories and different mythology. But when you go to the crux of the story, it comes back to the same thing. Every culture has the theory of creation, right? And it is very similar in nature. It's just a different story. But
it sounded to me, that's why I was like, I want to ask her that before she goes any farther.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And the whole idea was that the collective there understood that in whatever way it made the most sense to them, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's coming back. Because whenever we're talking about deities, whenever we're talking about, of course, the deities have a different frequency from the angelics and different frequency from the ascended masters. But in the end, what we're tapping into are these rays or forms in the universe that are in their most prominent form. And by tapping into that, we bring some of that energy into our consciousness. And because we're humans and we enjoy, our brain registers it more as a human form. It allows us to, like having a visual altar space with a picture, or, it allows our conscious mind to absorb it better. And as such, it becomes the manifestation of it. So great question.
Thank you. Thank you. Now you can go on.
So according to the Vedas, Brahma was the creator of the universe, and there's the three basic deities: Brahma, the creator; Vishnu, the preserver, who governs the mechanics of the physical universe. And Vishnu had many incarnations, such as Krishna and Yeshua, and so on and so forth. That's the theory. And then Shiva, who is known as the reconstructor or the destroyer, so when things are off balance and off order, then he's the one who jumps in to help with the transition. So at this point in time, as we're undergoing the shift of a 2,000-year-old era from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, the world is undergoing a shift and a transition. So Shiva is very active in the consciousness. And so reconstruction is active in the consciousness. So we're now going to focus on Brahma, the creator. So Brahma is essentially nothing but the supreme consciousness. And through the supreme consciousness, through the universal consciousness, as it splits, it becomes individual consciousness. So Brahma essentially had to split into Shiva and Shakti in order for there to be duality and then the different shades within that duality that create the experience of being in this third dimensional consciousness. Shiva, which is the masculine principle, is the consciousness itself. And Shakti, known as Prakriti, which is the feminine principle, is energy. Energy. Now, what's very interesting is in the Vedas, Shiva, it creates the space or the base within which Prakriti or Shakti can move and do her dance. So Prakriti is, Shakti is resembled as being extremely active. She is the force of lightning. She is ever moving. She is ever changing. And she is contained within the container that consciousness or Shiva creates. So the mythology goes that Shiva and Shakti were both created by Brahma so that consciousness can have an experience and split into multiple different consciousnesses. So for that purpose of that experience, however, so first the god was created, because Shiva literally means nothingness. Shiva meaning that which is not. Literally, it means that which is not in Sanskrit. And so that's the Big Bang Theory. Within the nothingness was when creation was birthed through the goddess, through the energy of the feminine that created the birth, the creation. The mythology says that the gods themselves did not have, while the creation was happening, any of the things that came in the way of the creation, only the gods themselves did not have, the divine masculine themselves did not have the ability to handle some of these things that were in the way. So they created the goddess because the way they created it is all of the gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, all of them got together and created the goddess, and all of them gave some of their powers to her. Brahma gave her the power of creation. Vishnu gave her the power of preservation. Shiva gave her the power of reconstruction. And as such, she had all of the tools so that she can go ahead and destroy everything that was in the way of the creation. So then she can take the form, the supreme primordial goddess can take many different forms. And we have a 9-day festival called Navratri in India, which describes the 9 forms of the goddess. Everything from the Divine Mother. She is the same goddess who is the Divine Mother and holds her child. She is the same goddess who protects her child when something is in the way. She is the same goddess who, when many of these demons come through, and these demons are portrayed in the form of ego, in the form of victimhood or like depression and all of that, where it's either you're on one side of it where your ego is very high, or you're on the other side of it where it's very low, where it's not balanced. Or desire. Desire was a very interesting one. It was represented. So when the goddess goes to war with the demon of desire, this demon was almost indestructible, because it would, anytime someone would try to kill it, it would leave drops, and those drops would then multiply and become more of the same demon. So he was self-replicating, just like our desires. When one desire is fulfilled, another one pops up. And so the goddess had to take the form of Kali, or the one that drinks blood. And she actually went and made sure that every time a drop would fall from the demon, she would drink up the blood so it would never reach the ground and it could never multiply. And so from the mother goddess to her most fiercest form, where even Shiva could not do what Kali does. Like she is complete and pure resurrection. And her power is, and believe me when I say I have experienced that, is that nothing can stand in the way when she comes through. And when you're working with Kali, it's not, there is nothing subtle about it. She's like, if you want to do something subtly, like you cannot say, please bring in the change, but please bring it in the way that's, I can, just really digest it. She's like, if you want to work with me, it's going to be a shift. So that's Kali, because she is that epitome of that shift. And so she is the only one who can be that entire spectrum, because Shiva has to be Shiva. He has to be who he is in the divine masculine. If he's holding the space, he is holding the space. He sits there still. The consciousness sits still while the energy moves and does her dance. And as such, all of the gods were, bow down to the goddess, because what she can create, preserve, or destroy is only something she can do. And that are the various forms of Shakti, or the mother goddess. Now, what's interesting is that even though they're separate, consciousness and energy, coming back after this vivid description of the mythology of it, they are essentially two sides of the same coin. They are two sides of the same sheet of paper, if you want to look at it that way, because consciousness cannot exist without energy, and energy cannot exist without consciousness. Consciousness without energy lacks experience. Energy without consciousness lacks centering. So basically, what we're now going to do, now there is more of a breakdown, right? So we're going to go a little further without going too deep into it, because I do teach about the Vedas, and they are a long subject, and all the anecdotes and all the mythology essentially just help us understand the depths of the layers of our consciousness. That is the idea of it, but doing so in a more fun way, which the human brain can fathom. But I will talk a little bit about the Shakti, or Prakriti, breaking down into three further principles. And those are Sattva, Raja, and Tamas. So what Sattva means is the sentient form. So the sensing, the feeling, and the origins, or the creation. That leads us to Raja. The Raja is the mutative part of it. When we're created, we're sentient beings, and then we start exploring this sentience and start mutating and having the experience. As a teenager, you're having the experience. You just want to really explore and experience. Without exploring, you do not reach the point of feeling stable. So what they're saying essentially is, in this ever-changing, ever-shifting universe, we first start with something that's a creation that grows. All of our creation grow. Once the creation grows, then the management part comes in. There's trial and error to see what works, what doesn't work. We cannot skip that stage and reach mastery, because we have to go through the trial and error. But when we're going through the trial and error, when we're going through our failures and our successes, the idea is to really just enjoy the process and the journey, because it really is about the journey, and not forgetting that, and not letting. So do indulge, but do not get consumed by the indulgence where you forget about the fact that you are separate from the experience, but at the same time do not separate yourself from the experience so much that you cannot actually enjoy the process, because we came here on this third dimensional plane to have that experience. The whole reason Brahma decided to break down the consciousness is so that all of these multiple drops of his consciousness can have the full experience of it. And then finally we reach the stage of tamas, which is the static. So that is I have done so. When we reach the, it's the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And when we reach the stage of the crone, we're looking back at what was done and integrating it and learning our lessons from it and understanding the experience. And some of these words actually even match with certain Egyptian words like Mahat, consciousness. So consciousness, in order to have an experience, needs to have a mind. And that mind has these different aspects to it. Mahat, Aham, and Chitta. Mahat is this feeling that I exist. Mahat is the ego, and the ego needs to come into balance. When it's not fully balanced, when we sacrifice the ego, our existence, we feel that we do not have our, that is when our throat chakra is blocked. We feel that we are not able to express our existence. So ego is a very essential part of the human existence, because it is that separation that we need to experience, that I am separate and I need to preserve my existence, right? So this is important. If we completely deny this, then we do not exist. And then after we do that, then we reach the stage of aham, where it is like, aham literally means I do, or I create. So because I exist, I now have the ability to create using my hands, using my body. Do not deny your body. You are consciousness embodied and you are creating. You just have to remember to co-create with the Supreme Creator. So I do, and I can actually physically move an object. Spirit can affect our consciousness, but spirit can rarely physically move an object unless they're a very earthbound spirit, but that's a whole different story. So spirit can give you all the instructions, but we have to physically get ourselves up from our beds and perform or do. And it is only through the doing, the creating, that things get created. So that is a very important for the universe to exist, for Gaia to be able to operate in a way that progress happens on it. Each individual needs to do their duty of creating. Then we have Chitta, which is the tamas. Now, Chitta essentially is the part of the mind which always thinks about what was done. So it thinks about the past. So the Chitta is where a lot of fear is actually held. I did not do this right, or I should have done this better. So the Chitta is the part of the mind which is the chattering mind, right? But to understand that all three parts exist, and all three parts, we're feeding them with our very existence by everything we think, say, and do on a daily basis. What is it, 1,000 thoughts per second or 3,000 thoughts per second that we are thinking, we are feeding the Mahat, the Aham, and the Chitta. And to understand which one are we feeding the most, and are the three of them in balance? And within that, are each of them in their own balance? Is the ego in balance? is the creation part in balance. A lot of people procrastinate. They think a lot, they don't really do. A lot of people do. They don't stop to think and reprogram and do not give themselves the time. So there's all of these imbalances that are created, and to once we really start understanding these three pieces as separate ones, we're able to think through if there is balance created in each of the three. And the fact that all three are necessary to have the third dimensional experience. And then once we go through the stages, once we go through the maiden, mother, and crone stage, then we return back into consciousness. So consciousness becomes matter, has its experience, and then matter goes back into consciousness. And that is how the entire cycle completes itself. And while we are within that experience, and while we're having the experience, the way to make the most of the experience is to understand and have it in our mind that yes, we are just consciousness having an experience, but at the same time, we may as well enjoy and indulge in the experience, knowing that there are repercussions, there is karma, there is a karmic cycle. So when we say indulge responsibly, but at the same time, not fear indulging, because we are going to go back into consciousness anyway. So to not to separate it or to create the separation, again, there is sometimes there is imbalance where a lot of people in the spiritual world will ignore, their bodies or just not just use that as almost like an escape. So when you're doing that, then you're not having the full experience. And what's going to happen is you're just going to come back and have the experience again because you escaped it last time around, and you did not fully experience it, so you could not learn the lessons fully or have that experience, right? And that's why when we come to this phase of, so nothing is right and wrong, it is all an experience, but there is a law of cause and effect to maintain the balance in the universe, which is the law of karma. But karma was only created to maintain the balance, not necessarily to debilitate. But the karmic imprints do stay in our DNA. And this is why, as our earth ascends, we're now given the ability to release that aspect of it if it is no longer serving our highest interest. Which is what I work with people in the Akash, where we try to, a lot of us carry the energetic imprints of what has happened to us in the past. It's almost like a hole that we keep, it's like a cycle that we keep coming and repeating. And this is about filling that hole, that yes, the lesson is learned, we got the point, and now it's time for redemption so that we can release those imprints that are no longer serving us, so that we can come into our mission timeline. And usually, after the clearing, a lot of people just kind of accelerate on their mission, and then they get their confidence back, and so on and so forth. And now it's so astrology essentially is nothing but it's sealed based on the date and time of a person's birth. So what it's determining is that the soul, when it went through its, judgment and it decided that, okay, so these are the things that I could not work on last time, so I'm going to still continue working on these. So I am going to create a criteria. I'm going to create a Shiva, a box of experiences, so that I can learn these various lessons, knowing that can go either way, and then I will lose my memory and just be put into this experience. So this is not to say that your fate is certain or you're doomed, and I absolutely disagree with some of the old school ways of looking at that. I actually grew up revolting against the very, as much as I love my ancient principles and my ancient teachings, I completely believe that we are creators of our own fate, and we are consciousness embodied, and as such, we are limitless beings. But at the same time, I do respect the fact that people choose a certain criteria, a certain family, a certain financial system, a certain set of parents, and so on and so forth, a certain conditioning to be born into in order to have that experience. But now that they've had that, so in astrology talks about why you chose to have that experience, or what that experience was. And a lot of times when I read for people who are much older, they're like, oh, I used to be like that, but I'm no longer like that. I'm like, okay, great, then you've learned your lesson that you came here to learn for this particular timeline. So it gives you a parameter to be able to get into. Yes, we all know we're light workers. Yes, we all know we're on a mission. We have this deep need to be of service. But what is the nitty-gritty of that mission? And then with Vedic astrology, it goes further and it gives remedies. So we talk about, actually crystals and chants. Crystals, which is light healing, and chants, which are sound healing, basically the two main forms of healing, and use those specific ones for specific people depending on their chart to balance out the energy. So if, like, say, a Saturn energy is very heavy, we try to tone it down. And if a certain energy is very low and the Jupiterian energy is low, we try to bring it up so we push and boost their luck and expansion. And that is done via that specific light and sound. So I do respect that when consciousness does break down into matter, it can create a whole in-depth system of a lot of specifics. I have my Syrian in me, so I love my technicalities. Because why not? If we have these tools at our disposal, why not use them? This is already a well-defined ancient science. There were sages that spent thousands of years meditating and bringing down those downloads, and they are constructed in a very well-defined way. So why not use the rituals and the remedies to be able to bring what needs to be brought? And once that's brought, and once the freedom arises from it, that's when, our consciousness can, once, for every person, whenever they ask me, what am I good at? I'm like, just release your blocks. What you're good at will come on its own. And they never believe me. They're like, no, but tell me exactly what I'm good at. I'm like, just let me release your blocks. You will know. You will develop your modality. You will come out with your creation, because that creation comes from inside you. And of course, I will tell you the nitty-gritty of what you did in other timelines. But this time around, you have a choice. You can pick this or that, or all one of the many things you did in that, or you could do multiple things. Whatever your consciousness allows within the space at this point, whatever is, whatever you enjoy doing and whatever is practically doable. But at the same time, it does come from inside of you. So I'd like to, come back to the space or consciousness and the energy that moves it, matter and the energy that moves it, the dance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and the importance of the balance of it. We are talking about the divine feminine rising in this day and age and era because the divine feminine has been, gone through a lot of submissiveness. However, the idea of rising the divine feminine is so that we finally find the balance. We're not here to fight. We're here to find balance. And that, as long as we do not lose track of the end goal in the process of achieving that goal, that is the most important, because anything in imbalance is too much. If the masculine side within us is too imbalanced, then we are, like I said, just trying and doing, but not really integrating and allowing, our manifestation that we just manifested to come to us. You need to have the ability to receive. You need to be okay with receiving it. And if our feminine side is too much, then we're only thinking about all those wonderful things we're going to create and all the channeling that comes through, but not actually creating anything out of it. So it is so important to find the balance of the divine masculine and feminine inside of us, because the masculine actually allows us to give structure to our feminine ideas, and the feminine is the idea. It is the creation. But without the structure that is provided by Shiva, Shakti cannot do her dance within it. And when Shakti starts doing her dance, it is graceful indeed. So allow Shiva to give you the space so that your Shakti can dance within it. And allow Shakti to do her dance, even if that means sometimes would mean destruction for the purpose of recreation of something that is not working. Because that's how any progress happens, both internally and externally. And I just want to bring up one more thing, which I've come across a lot of clients I work with. It's like, but I thought that this was going to end. I thought we worked on it last time. And I'm like, yes, we did a major chunk of it for sure. And that is why you've made all the progress you've made so far. But, if we stop making progress, then we're as good as dead. We're always learning, we're always evolving, we're always changing and shifting. That is the essence of Shakti. That is the essence of the divine feminine. It is the change and the shift and being comfortable in your center, so that when the shift happens, we allow it to happen. Because you keep moving to higher planes of consciousness. And as you move to higher planes of consciousness, you will have more layers to shed. This is just how it always is, because that is the transformation that needs to happen. And sometimes there are periods of time as the transformation is happening that, we have to regroup and reintegrate and come back to our center. And it is happening faster than ever at this point in time, because we're at the brink of the shift of a century.
What do you say to the people who say that they've done all their work, they've peeled back every single bit of the onion? What do you say to them? Because I get that, where people will say, "Oh, I've done all my work. I don't have anything else left to do." What do you say to that?
Well, you say, would you like to grow to a higher level? Then that just involves a different set of work. Of course, you've done your work. That's why you are where you are. And you absolutely deserve the pat on the back, because you work super hard for it. But would you like to continue your growth?
Yeah, because I find that the onion just never ends.
Absolutely.
There's never any way to get down to the middle of that onion and totally it's going to be gone. It just, when you think you've got it all figured out, there's always something else that sneaks up there and you have to go and deal with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And that's just because
we're human, and that's why we're here. We have this, I think that it's never going to end until you're actually not here anymore. And then you're going to go and you're going to reincarnate into your next body and you're going to start doing it again.
Absolutely. There we go. Yeah. Because we come here to have the experience. And that's why keep peeling the onion, but keep enjoying the process along the way. Really enjoy it,
Have some fun.
Have some fun along the way. Yeah.
We take
about it.
We take so much of our life so seriously all the time. Right. And there was a lady that said she had a message from the fairies there the other day, and she needed to have myself, there's all of our Unity host stuff. She's like, "Oh, I need to tell you all something." And so we all got onto this call or whatever. And it was a channeling she did. It was about 15 minutes of channeling. And the whole time it was we're all just kind of sitting there we were being serious, everybody's okay, we're going into this. Everybody take your deep breaths. And she's starting to channel and she's doing light language and everything along with it, right? And we're all being really serious. And all of a sudden she's talking about orgasmic experiences and all this stuff, right? And I started laughing. It was just so like, into like this, like I was laughing. I was doing the snorting and everything else. And Bonnie was trying to be like really serious. She was like real. And the girl that was channeling, all of a sudden she was channeling from the fairies or whatever. And then finally she said, are you listening to this? Are you understanding this? Because what she was trying to do was she was trying to say, don't be serious all the time. We have to have fun. We have to play. We have to, that's what life is about. It's not you come in here and you have this experience, and yes, you have to work on your stuff and you have to do all these things, but you supposed to be able to enjoy it at the same time, and like sink your toes into the mud and roll down the hill, and she was like going on all this. It's so funny because here we are, like so serious. We're like on our mission, so serious. We're told, oh, there's a message from the fairies and you need to all get onto this call ASAP, and we're thinking we're going to be getting some like information on like our next step or whatever. And she's going, woo, and on.
That was the message. You do that all the time. Now it's time to just breathe.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I love it.
We've been waiting for you. We've been waiting to get on this call, to get the three of you together, because we have a message for you. And they were just saying, you've worked really hard. You've done what it is that you came in here. You're doing your mission. Remember, it's time. You need to play as well, and you need to enjoy your life and all that kind of stuff. So it was really quite interesting, and we were kind of taken aback. We were just kind of like, what is going on?
Isn't that beautiful? Oh, wow. But it's so true though, right? And yeah, we forget. Oh, yes, we're on mission. We're warriors. Yeah, but we're still here to have our experience too and just enjoy the process. Thank you for reminding us of that, Robin. Very, very important.
Yeah, and so I have a few questions because we're coming up to the end of the hour. And so I had a question because you were talking about like we're kind of still in the Lion's Gate, and now it's time to kind of like really do what you like, create what it is that you want to create. There's no more excuses, no more changing your mind, no more going back. And I'm fine. My question is, it's not always easy to do that because like you get these like ideas, you're in bed and all of a sudden like this big idea comes into your mind. Like for instance, I got this idea that just came into my mind about doing this retreat that I was telling you, right? And so all excited. I wake up, I've got the location. They showed me the location. I'm all excited. They're going to be channeling the Avalon people. You're going to go into the inner earth, and there's going to be a whole week of all this like amazing things going on. This big retreat that's supposed to happen, right? And then as the day or the 2 days go, as I'm pushing it out, and all of a sudden I start going, how am I going to get a deposit to pay for the venue to do this? Or I'll be like, like maybe this isn't going to happen because we have a travel ban going on, and I start like all these excuses are coming up. Like it's only like, well, I'm sleeping and and all the information is coming in. I'm all excited. I wake up, I'm all excited about it. But then as the day goes on, I start thinking about all the things that will be stopping me, like, oh, I can't afford the venue. Oh, I won't put a deposit on a venue because because what if they all of a sudden say nobody can come to Ireland again?
Okay, so let me get to that. So because you're not the only one. I'm in the process of getting a house, and there's all these things, right?
So what do you do to stop this?
So here's the thing. That's when that's because any new manifestation, our old programming of fear will come through. That's just our mind trying to protect ourselves so that we don't go overboard, right? Like if say a person is at a cliff and they're like, if I jump, I'll be able to fly. And the mind is like, no, You can't do that. So the mind is trying to protect ourselves so we do not do stupid things. But at the same time, that's that old limbic brain, the fight or flight, conditioning. It's old conditioning. So the only way to battle that old conditioning or the third dimensional conditioning is when we go into the fifth dimension. So the example I'll give you for myself is like, yeah, I can think that maybe the inspection will go wrong and maybe this will happen, or how am I going to pay the rest of my mortgage for the next 30 years? It's a 30-year road. Or I can think that if my guides want this to happen, they'll make it happen regardless. So if this goes wrong, something else will happen. If that goes, we cannot even fathom the ways in which they make things happen. Like it's beyond our ability to interpret, and that's the belief in the miracles that will happen. So here's the thing: if we all keep fearing what we're going to create, then we will never end up creating a conduit. And all we need to do as light workers is show up and create that conduit. And then spirit does its job. Like the retreat that I'm supposed to go in 2 weeks. There were not enough people for the retreat just 2 weeks ago, and they were going to cancel it. So what I did was I'm going to bring in Mother Durga's energies, and we did the chanting together, me and the organizer, because we both love to do our chanting. And we created that, and we just created a chant, and we put it out there that this retreat is going to be full of chanting and joy and bringing in that energy. And if this is the energy you resonate with, whoever resonates with it, come through. And then we left it to Mother Durga. We literally said that Mother Durga will take care of the rest. And then just 2 days back, I get a text that we suddenly have 4 more people sign up and it's happening. So pack your bags. And I'm like, okay. And then she laughs. She's like, I'm hearing Mother Durga's chant on shuffle. Like it just showed up, like randomly, just on shuffle. And I'm like, so she made it happen. So this is literally when we surrender that we don't know if it's going to happen. If it happens, it happens. And when we drop that ball and we left it to her, and because here's the thing about the work we do, right? We don't do it for us. We don't do it for, just to earn the money. We do the work to create the conduit that spirit wants to speak through. And if spirit thinks that the right people need that at that point in time, they will gather. The group always gathers right before the circle. And I always, whenever I'm doing a circle, sometimes I don't know what I'm going to say at a circle. Once the group gathers, the ideas start flowing through because they're exactly what's meant for those people. So we don't have to worry about that. We, of course, do.
So what you would do is you just kind of like have your idea, okay, like this inspiration, this thing that's inside my head that I really want to do. And you just start, do you just start dreaming it more, taking more steps?
Taking more steps. And you'll be guided. And yet each step asks, okay, so now I need a space. So guide me to the space. And then you're really listening for the clues that are coming in. And then you'll meet someone else will tell you, you'll see a poster somewhere, you'll get that idea, then you research. Sometimes when you're researching the page, a new page pops up. Hasn't that happened to you? Like it'll just, because spirit works for electronics. Like I'll be searching something else and something else pops up. And then you just follow those signs and you gather the conduit. So you try to do, okay, like I'm going to do my math. I'm going to need these many people to be able to break even and to be able to create it, right? Because
you have to pay for the place, the venue, right. And you have to pay for the people that are coming in to do the speaker, to speak and do the stuff.
So you create that. You're like, okay, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to need so many people. Now, Spirit, find me the right people. Also, because you don't want the wrong people. You want to create a conduit with the people who, that they will all have a good time with each other. They'll get along with each other. You want
a family, like a tribe. Like when people come to a retreat, like if they're going to be there for the whole week and they're going to be there together, you're going to be spending a lot of intimate time with each other. And there's going to be a lot of like onions being peeled and people are going to be like weaving in and out, and you
want them to be friends for life when they leave. You don't want that energy where one person is off and then it disrupts the whole. So again, all of that is not in. So that part we leave, and then we just say, okay, Spirit, I'm leaving this to you. These many people show up, I'll make it happen, and if they don't, then I cannot. So now it's your task to make it happen, and then you leave it, and then you're in surrender. And if it does not happen this time, you haven't lost anything. All the research you've done, All the thing you've created will happen when the time is right. And when it happens, you will know exactly why it did not happen last time around. Especially with what's happening around, right? Like we
Yeah,
are
like I had like the first idea that I had with this this idea thing, I hadn't that was back in 2019, and it was supposed to happen in 2021, and all of this stuff happened with the pandemic and everything, and I was like, oh, like nobody can physically do this, and
right.
so I ended up, we did an online thing. We had a whole online thing that was what we did instead. But like now they're starting to show me that it's actually a physical thing. And there's a part of me that's going, I'm really excited about that. But then the other part's going, oh no, like we haven't done a physical thing in so long.
No, so when the fear comes to say, okay, what do you need to feel calmer? What would help if you felt, what are the parts? Where is the fear? You break down the fear. You go into the nitty gritty. It's not about ignoring your fear. It's about facing it head on and, okay, what do you need? Why are you scared? You're scared that you will lose money? Okay, let's see what you need to make it happen. And if this does not happen,
I would be scared that nobody would show up, and then we wouldn't be able to pay for the deposit. You know what I mean? How are we gonna pay for the deposit? Is it gonna be like, because you have to book these venues like a year and a half in advance in order to get them.
Well, you know what? In this day and age, you want to pick a venue that's very flexible. Even airlines are changing because everything is shifting. We cannot really predict what's going to happen even 2 months down the line, leave alone 5 months down the line. And everything is shifting.
That's the part that I'm getting like nervous about. I'm thinking, like I can't.
Pick a place which will allow you to get your deposit back within like 1 month, and then put like a special, like an early bird that you need to sign up by this date, and that way you're flexible, because we think about the physical space and making it grand, and really it's the emotional space that we create that's what makes it really grand, because if they have the shift inside, that's what they come for, right? So pick something that's easier, where you're not bound by something if it doesn't work out. Those things will help ease your fear. Because that's under our control, the physical part. The rest isn't.
So we're just kind of using this as an example to help people that it might be watching or whatever. And so that's very interesting. And then I found something else interesting when you were talking, because I knew nothing about what you were talking about today, right? Because like I didn't grow up learning all this information, right? And but I already do some things that naturally somehow, like when I'm doing the process of creating, right? So the first thing that I always do is I get the creation comes and I start like dreaming it, right? Like seeing it, dreaming it, thinking about it. It's kind of like in my mind. And then it could take days. I'll be ruminating. Okay, I ruminate about it, I just kind of, it's like the idea is there, but I'm not doing anything about it. And then I go through this process, like when I'm doing my art or when I'm creating something, before I can actually create it, I go and I clean the house. Like I clean everything before I actually create, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm ready. I get all my materials out and I get everything ready. And then finally, and this could be like a big process. This could be like a month, like of ruminating and before you actually take action. And then the action finally happens where I actually create the piece or create the artwork or something that is in my head. And so I find that quite interesting, because when you were talking about all the different steps, I was like, oh, I actually do that. When I thing. Yeah.
That idea comes and then it marinates and then it becomes, there's more additions to it, and that's how it becomes a masterpiece, right?
And even after you started, like, okay, so you got this idea, you have you've kind of done your research. I don't know, like say I'm going to do a sculpture and I want to have certain types of vines in it, or I don't know, like certain trees. Like one time I did one and I wanted a hawthorn tree. So I went out and on my walk and I was looking at the hawthorn tree and looking at the leaves, so that I make sure that I'm going to make it like a hawthorn tree, you know? And so there's all these like things going on. And then when you actually go to actually do the project, like I was thinking, oh, I'll make a mold, I'll like make a little press mold of the leaf and little leaves, and then I'll like press the clay in and everything. When the day actually came to actually do it, I didn't do the press mold thing. And so like it changes, it morphs, and it changes as you're growing. And so like your creation goes to different directions after you start it, as long as you allow yourself not to be like like in the box, like stay, everything has the lines, you know what I mean? And you're allowed to like go out, and sometimes your creation is something totally different than what it was at the beginning when you were thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the fun. That's the fun in the process of it, right? Because it'll evolve, and it evolves into something until you feel like, oh, now it's perfect, and I can bring it out into the universe, and through it generate the light codes that everyone will benefit from. So that's your creation, and that's your it's a fun process. Creation is a very fun process.
It is.
We can only do it in the third dimensional plane, and that's what a lot of people are like, oh, this is a hard plane, when am I gonna like be done with it and go back or escape from it? And I'm like, but what about when you're here, and you know, just enjoy it.
So I wanna, because we're coming up to the end, and I know you have a schedule and I have a schedule. So I wanted to go through, we had, and just acknowledge the people that were watching and everything. Reshma's here, and she's loving it. And she was like, when you were talking about Kali, she was like, woohoo, Kali. And then we have another lady. Her name is Andrea Stafford, and she says, thank you so much for your wisdom and teachings today. She's feeling so very, very grateful. So, and
you're very welcome, Andrea. Thank you for loving and choosing it.
It's been a lot of fun. Is there anything else that you would like to touch on before we actually close out for today?
Oh, well, I want to thank you, Robin, for making this happen, and for always making it fun, and bringing in your fairy touch to it. And right. And I want to thank everyone that came through and, you know, spent their precious time watching. And I just want to end with saying that there is hope. There is always hope. You know, we are in the midst of times of change, but that's because we volunteered to come here during this time of change. Trust me, you could have volunteered to completely skip a 500-year period and come later, but your soul decided to come here for a reason, to experience it, to bring the shift, to help others. Whatever your reason for being here is, just know that, you know, there's always hope. There's always, you know, you need to enjoy every moment along the way to make it worthwhile. And yeah, if you need any help, reach out. You know, we're here. Like I said, the law of karma is absolute, but we have caveats to be able to release certain unjustified stuff so that we can bring all the light workers on their mission timeline. And we're here to help all of us. And this platform has so many beautiful practitioners. And just reach out, and don't, you're not alone. Whatever you're experiencing, the collective is experiencing it. I put that, this is the reason I do my full moon videos, and every full moon and every portal on YouTube, which is also on Fire Bear Wellness, is because I want people to understand that if there is a major shift happening, you're not undergoing that alone, because it's happening in the whole cosmos, you know, and as above, so below, as within, so without. We're all into it together, and you're experiencing it in your own way because you're shifting, and that's all there is to it. So just don't ever lose hope. That's it. You know, we're gonna be in for a ride, but for those of us who, right?
Really good advice. So how can we find you? We can find you at the firebearwellness.com, and your YouTube channel is the same name. And is there any place else that you would direct people to find you?
Well, I do have a Facebook page and I have an Instagram, and they are all at Fire Bear Wellness.
Okay. And that makes life easy and makes it so that everybody can kind of remember how to find you. And what do you offer? Do you offer private sessions? You teach workshops. What can you tell anybody what you offer?
Sure. I do a lot of private one-on-one sessions, and I do mainly a lot of Akashic clearings, um, and I work with astrology, and I do inner child subconscious healing work. I teach a lot about the Vedas. I teach a lot about the unconscious and the journeys, and I do moon circles every month, and I put videos on my YouTube, astrology updates every month.
Are your moon circles like physical ones, or do you do online? Do you stream them, or do you put them up online?
Usually they are online. They're on Zoom, and I usually put a link on my Facebook when it's time, and for about a week before the full moon, and they can just sign up for using that, and then I send the Zoom details. This time we're doing a retreat on this full moon, so it will be in person, and that's in California and Point Mugu, but. Yeah, but usually they're online.
Yeah. So where is this retreat? And going to be happening, in case anybody's watching that might want to attend to this retreat, because you are looking for, it could be looking for a couple more people, couldn't you? For the lady.
Always, always more room for that. I can. There's a website for that. So I can put the website on there. Just.
Do you know the name of it?
Yeah, it's. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to it.
I'm just going to put it into the comments.
Yeah, I just don't remember it. Yeah, off the top of my head, but here it is. It's adamgyoga.com. So let me see if I can.
Yoga.com.
Mm-hmm.
I just put it into the comments.
Okay, perfect.
Anybody can look back onto the live chat, and you can go back and you can see, if you're watching this on the replay, check out the live chat, and it's right in there where you can go to avail of maybe being part of this if you're living in California area. So it's really cool.
It's a beautiful vortex of Point Mugu, and if you live in California, it's just a 1-hour drive. So yeah, you're always welcome to join us, and it'll be a lot of yoga, a lot of chanting, and I'll be teaching a little more about crystals. So that's on agenda for this retreat, and of course we'll do our full moon circle at sunset in the mountains right there. So it'll be beautiful. You're welcome.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. So thank you so much for coming and giving us all of this knowledge that was vast. Like, there was a lot of knowledge that you brought forward, and we really appreciate you for coming on to the New Earth platform and giving us your time, and we really loved it. And for anybody that is out there in the world and you would like to host a Unity Circle through the New Earth, we have a platform here, and it's meant to be used. And so if you all of a sudden feel like you would like to host a Unity Circle, and you have a topic or something that really needs to be shared out to the world, contact myself, Robin Nicole, or David Starr, or Bonnie Bird, and we'll kind of hook you up with doing a Unity Circle, and or you can go to the New Earth AC 1111 at gmail.com, and you'll be able to connect with us. We'll get a time and a date that suits you. Tell us about your topic, and we will bring you on and share you out to the world. That's what we're all about here. And don't wait for us to ask you. please let us know, like, because we wouldn't know, like, we don't know sometimes that somebody has something to share. And so we just want to reiterate that you can come to us anytime. And that's for you too, Meher. Like, anytime something comes up and you feel like there's something that you would like to share out to our audience, and that will help them along their path, please, let us know, and we'll set you up with another Unity Circle. So, and I just want to go through our schedule for the next week. And so tomorrow we have a community chat. We get to meet Lisa Vivio. She's one of our members. And then next week we're having another Unity Circle on Wednesday, and Kathy Mason is going to be hosting it. She is an amazing woman, and she produces books. She's a what is it called? She's a marketing lady, and I'm trying to think exactly what a publisher. She's a book publisher, and she's going to be coming on, and she's going to be talking about alchemy of your soul purpose. So that's going to be next Wednesday on the 18th of August. And then we have another Unity Circle next week, and that's on a Sunday. And that is going to be done by Adam. He's the swamp guy. I can't remember the name of him. He's like he has his own show, his own podcast and everything. And he plays this like Indian or American Indian flute. It's like a wooden flute. It's really beautiful, and it's magical what comes out. And so he's going to be doing a Unity Circle. And then the week after that, we have Teresa Monson coming on, or Teresa Chillingsworth, I think that her name is. And she's going to be doing a talk about the new energies of the earth. And so that's what we have coming forward. We got a full schedule. So if you would like to host something, we're really going into September now. So we're looking to book our calendar for September. So please let us know if you have something that you'd like to do. And so that's my long speech. And I just wanted to end it just to say thank you, everybody, for coming. And we will see you again next week. And we'll see you tomorrow. I'll be seeing everybody tomorrow because I'm going to be doing a community chat. So that's a bye for now.
Bye.